Hello everyone, my name is Franco Pucci and I'm the technical consultant for the STS Association. I've been involved in the prepayment industry for over 25 years. Welcome to the STS training video series where we will explore all aspects of the STS and the STS standard. I hope you find these videos helpful. This video will be about the Key Management Center. Let's talk a little about the security techniques used in the KMC. If we look at the meter key, that's either a 128-bit or a 64-bit key using either MIST-1 or the STA algorithm. Vending keys are 160-bit and they use KDF HMAC SHA-256 algorithm. The key exchange key is 192-bit and it's AES and CCM mode, and the key agreement key is a 384-bit elliptic curve Diffie-Hellman P384. Remember that adding 1 bit to the key length doubles the number of possible values, so adding 64 bits to the length of the meter key means that there are an extra 2 to the power 64 combinations. What interactions does a user have with the KMC? There's an application for a supply group code, STS 600-15-8. There's an application for a vending key, which is STS 600-15-4. There's a key use authorization form, STS 600-15-5. And then there's rules for the use of an SGC, which is STS 700-1. Let's have a look at these forms just to see typically what's on them. Okay, the STS 600-15-8 is a supply group code application form, and this is used to verify the identity of an applicant for a supply group code essentially. And what you will need to do with this form if you're a company or closed corporation is put all your company or corporation details, registered details in. If you have an authorized representative, you can fill all these details in as well. If you're supplying meters into the jurisdiction of a utility, in other words, you're fitting meters into the utility space, then you need to supply all the utility details as well. You can click yes for you're operating within the jurisdiction of a utility, or no if you're not. Then which service type, it could be electricity, water, gas or time, or in fact all of them if you are supplying all of them. If you're supplying within the jurisdiction of a utility, you also need an official letter from the utility, and here you can just state whether it's attached or not. Then supply group code details provide a small motivation for why you want a supply group, what area or region are you going to be using in, the name of the supply group, and the credit type. Is it units or currency? Let's say this one is currency, and let's say we are supplying electricity. Once you've done that, you must ensure that you have read and accepted the conditions contained in STS 700-1. Once you've done that, then please click yes there, put your name, signature and the date. Now let's have a look at the next one, which is the request for a vending key. So once you've been allocated a supply group code, then you need to request a vending key. Again, you can now put your supply group code, which will have been issued by the Key Management Center. You can't put your own number in there. And the name as well, you would have given them the name for that supply group code. Now for the key type, you can select here whether it's a default key, a unique key or a common key, and let's say this one is a unique key. The decoder key generation algorithm allows you to select only DKGAO2 or DKGAO4, the base date, the activation date. This date is the date from which time you want the key to be active. So if you have a contract with somebody from the 1st of February, it happens to be January now, you only want him to start vending on the 1st of February, then put 1st of February there as the activation date. Okay. The expiry date, you could also have that same contract running for a year, so it would run to the 1st of February the year later. Put that date in here, which means that after that date, that person will no longer be able to vend. and then you can sign it, put your name, sign it, and the date. Next, we have the key use authorization form. If you are authorizing somebody to use your key, you can put the SGC username. That would be your name if you're the primary user. The secure module ID to which you want to allow this key to be given to. The supply group number and the supply group name. The STS edition, is it a STS edition 1 or STS edition 2, and you could have both. The key expiry date you can put in there, we've mentioned that already. And then the refresh period. This refresh period is quite important. What that means is that every 30 days a new VK load request must come to the Key Management Center. And that is to ensure that every 30 days, if you want to be able to revoke a key, you can do so, and you are guaranteed that within 30 days this secure module has to ask for another vending key load response. And if the key has been revoked, that key will not be included in the VK load response. And then the currency limit per key refresh, you can put a limit there, either in currency value or you can put it in units value. And once again, you can, the SGC user, the primary user, must sign it, as well as put name and date, and the sub user, who is the person you're giving permission to, must put his sign it, put his name and date. Last but not least, we have the STS 700-1. Now, I'm not going to go through this document, but the document essentially specifies general conditions of use of a supply group code. What must a meter manufacturer do? What must a sub-metering entity do? Vending system manufacturer, token vendors, and utilities. So please read this document, make sure you've read it, make sure you've accepted it, and then tick yes in that appropriate box. Please note that supply group codes and vending keys are owned by the STS Association. There are certain things to note when requesting an SGC or a vending key. Set the key expiry according to the duration of your contract, as I've already mentioned. Set the key refresh period as short as possible. You can ask for as many key refreshes as you want. In fact, it doesn't matter. But if you make it too long, it means for that duration, whoever is running the secure module has the ability to vend. If you make it short, it means you have the ability to revoke a key in a much shorter period of time. Only allow the appropriate subclasses for vending. So if somebody is only supplying electricity meters, do not tick water, gas, time, and all the currencies. Just give them permission to use electricity, kilowatt hour or electricity currency. And set reasonable credit limits. Once again, it just limits your risk. Now let's talk a little bit about key revocation. If we assume that a supply group user wishes to stop somebody using their supply group code for some reason, supply group code user can stop a security module from vending by using either the key expiry, when will the key expire, or the key refresh period, how often must the key be refreshed, or the maximum amount the security module can vend. You can contact the KMC and instruct them to no longer send their supply group code to a particular security module. The security module will only be able to use the supply group code until one of the above expires. For example, for a particular secure module, the key expiry is set to the 31st of December 2016. It has a key refresh period of 60 days and a unit limit of 1 megawatt hour. On the January the 1st, 2017, the vending stops, and that is because the expiry date is the 31st of December. After the secure module issues 1 megawatt hour, the vending stops because your unit limit is set at 1 megawatt hour. If a security module is unaccounted for, revoke the policy at the KMC, and the vending stops after 60 days. Why? Because he needs to refresh his security module every 60 days. And the new VK load request going down will not include the key you've just revoked. If the security module is accounted for, get a fresh key load file to reset the key refresh period. So every time you get a new VK load response from the Key Management Center, your refresh period is reset. This brings us to the end of this part of the video series. I hope you found this video helpful and hope you will join us for the rest of this series. Goodbye and see you again soon.